Hello and welcome to the StateCraft Simplified with Dr. Ajaya. Today we will discuss about Aristotle's political philosophy. It is said that every political philosopher is the epitome of his time, and for a proper understanding of his philosophy, it is desirable to have an idea of the conditions under which he lived and the various factors which influences his political philosophy, which impacted his political philosophy. This is also true about Aristotle. The Greek political philosopher, the father of political science, was one of the greatest disciple, one of the ablest disciple of Plato. He was born at Stagira on the Aegean Sea in 384 BC. Thus, he was not an Athenian by birth. Not an Athenian by birth. His father was a physician to the king of Macedonia. By virtue of this provided an opportunity to Aristotle to acquire first-hand information about the royal courts and greatly sharpened his understanding of working of the state. At the age of 18, he came to Athens and joined Plato's Academy. The first Western university, where he stayed for 20 years, till the death of his mentor. After the death of Plato in 347 BC, he left Athens and spent almost 13 years visiting different parts of the world and understanding different political institutions. In 347 BC, he was called to Macedonia to become the tutor of Alexander the Great. In 347 BC, Alexander the Great. In 335 BC, Aristotle set up his own academy called Lyceum to preach his own political ideas, thoughts and philosophies. Though Aristotle wrote extensively on subjects like metaphysics, psychology, rhetoric, poetry, biology, moral science, politics, etc., our own concern, but our primary focus was on political writings. And in this regard, the most important work which was come down to us and provide us the valuable information about his political thought, about his political philosophy is the Politics. Historically, it was a compilation of 8 books whose order differs in different editions. 8 books. Professor Foster, he believed that as if a single book can be a classical representation of Greek political thoughts. Professor Foster, he praised the Politics, the book, the Politics, as if a single book can be the classical representation of Greek political thought in its entirety. The book does not possess a systematic arrangement. The book, the Politics, it's not a, we cannot find a systematic arrangement of the book. But as we already discussed, that this book come down to us historically arranged in 8 books. Let's discuss one by one. Book 1, it basically talks about the treatise and it deals with slavery. Aristotle justified slavery is necessary. In second book, that basically deals with Plato's ideal state, where he criticized Plato. And in third book, it deals with citizenship, where he discussed who can be a citizen, who cannot be a citizen, what are the conditions or criteria to become a citizen, the normal and perverted form of constitution and monarch. Book 4 deals with various forms of government, democratic, monarch, authoritarian, dictatorship, everything. And book 5 and 6 basically deals with oligarchy and democracy, and how he rejected democracy, why he rejected oligarchy. And book 7 It discusses the constitution of an ideal state, the constitution of Aristotle's ideal state. Aristotle's ideal state. And book 8 develops the point discussed in book 7. Each political philosopher is influenced by his time, is influenced by the surrounding, influenced by the philosopher or thinkers, and each political philosopher is influenced by many factors, many personalities. Aristotle cannot be remain untouched from this. He was influenced by Plato, his teacher. The most significant influence on Aristotle was Plato. He studied under Plato for 20 years. The pursuit of knowledge, virtue, the theory of forms, which Aristotle eventually rejected, emphasis on reason as central to humankind, as central to human nature, everything was the replication of Plato in the life of Aristotle. He was also influenced by Socrates, but you can say that it's a indirect influence. Through Plato, Aristotle inherited Socrates' commitment to ethics, examined life. He was also influenced by the pre-Socratic philosophies, the pre-Socratic period, basically by Heraclitus. The idea of constant and unity of opposition. Heraclitus influenced Aristotle in this way. Aristotle was influenced by the idea of constant and the unit of opposites. Apart from that, he was also influenced by the Pythagoreans, also influenced by the theory of Pythagoras. Emphasis on number, emphasis on harmony and the structure of reality. The Greek medicines, Hippocrates, influenced Aristotle in his biological works and the theory of soul. The concept, the idea of soul propagated by Aristotle was influenced by Hippocrates and the Greek medicines, which was an empirical approach to anatomy and physiology. The father of political science is not only the father of political science, but also the father of biology, father of comparative politics. Let's discuss about Aristotle's view on state. According to Aristotle, especially in his book The Politics, which offers a fundamental framework for the understanding of state, for the understanding of the constitutions and the concept of ideal state. Aristotle believed that state is a natural institution. State is natural as well as necessary. That's why he said that a man cannot live without state. If he is living without state, he might be a ghost or god. He believed that state is natural as well as necessary. As human beings are political animal, as human beings are social animal, they cannot exist without state. And why the state exists? The state exists for the sake of life and continues to exist for the sake of better life. Why state is important? He said that there is multiple needs, multiple necessities of a human being. Family cannot fulfill all the needs and necessities of the individual because it is a very basic institution. If family cannot fulfill all the needs and necessities of the individual, then it comes village. Village, it is also what we can say, it's a basic unit. This is also impossible for the village to fulfill all the needs and necessities of the individual. As a result, the state come into existence, where the state can fulfill all the needs, all the necessities of the humankind, of the individual. So the state exists not for just life, but for good life, to promote virtue and moral development. That's the importance of the state. That is why state is very important. State is very crucial, and it is the natural need of the individual. natural need. But what functions the state performs? What are the functions that performed by the state? Aristotle believed that the state has both practical as well as ethical functions. The functions performed by the state can be categorized into two according to Aristotle. One is practical and second is ethical functions. Okay. The first primary function of the state is to ensure justice. The primary function is to promote justice, the highest good in political life. It is the highest good. As we already discussed, justice as the primary virtue, justice as the first virtue. As we already discussed that justice is the primary virtue. So the first function, the first and foremost duty of the state was to ensure justice. Second, promote virtue. Promote virtue. Cultivate moral and intellectual excellency. The state should cultivate moral and intellectual excellence in citizens. It is the duty of the state, where morality must be cultivated. Morality must be cultivated among the citizens and to promote intellectual excellency. Third important function, we can say that maintain order, maintain law and order for the promotion, for the protection of human life, for the protection and to ensure the safety and security of each and every individual. It is the primary duty of the state to maintain law and order. As a result, the state can ensure the safe custody of human life, the safe custody of individuals' property. Fourth function, we can say that economic regulation, economic well-being. Economic well-being. It regulates property, it balances property, commerce and labor in a balanced way. Maintaining a balance. It is the important function. It is an important economic function of the state. Last but not the least, we can say that education is very important, is very crucial, and the state must provide moral and civic education. Moral and civic education to prepare citizens for political participation. It is the duty of the state to promote moral and civic education. Civic education. As a result, they can actively participate in the affairs of the state. Classification of constitution, classification of state. Aristotle distinguished true form of government working for the common good, working for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of the state. If the government is ruled by one virtuous leader and that government, that virtuous leader always thinks about for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of the state, for the betterment of its subjects, it is known as monarch, and its deviant form is known as tyranny. That means here is also ruled, or here is also this form of government which was, we can say, deviant or corrupted form. It is also ruled by one person. But his intention was not service. His intention was not for the development, for the state and society and for the well-being of the humankind. Always focuses on the self-interest. Always talks about individual, not collective. In true form, in normal government, if the government is ruled by few virtuous elite or few people, not by a single person, not by mass or a large group of people, it is known as aristocracy in normal government, in true form or pure form. And when it deviates, it turns into oligarchy. They are ruled by the wealthy few, which is a deviant form or corrupted form, which is a perverted form. The rule by the rich for their own benefits. They are not thinking about the state. They are not at all concerned about the state or society. And finally, if the rule by many, the mix of democracy and oligarchy, it is called polity in normal form, or we can say true form. This is a kind of mixed constitution. It combines the good nature, good characters of democracy as well as oligarchy. And when it becomes bad, or when it becomes corrupted, and when it turns to its perverted form, then it leads to democracy. Democracy, the rule by the poor, the disregarding the laws, rule by the poor, rule by the illiterate, rule by the ignorant. And according to Aristotle, this democracy is the worst form. And what is the best form? Best form is polity. Aristotle's notion of ideal state. For him, politics is the best practicable government. In practice, politics, that is a little spelling error. It should be polity. Polity is the best practicable government. According to Aristotle, polity or politics was the best and most practicable form of government. Because why it is best practicable? It possesses a healthy combination of liberty and wealth. There is a healthy combination, and he held that the best constitution was the one which was practicable. Okay, and he was even willing to have a monarch provided the monarch was enlightened. He was also ready to accept monarchy, the monarchical form of government, and he wants to ensure that the monarch must be enlightened. Okay, Sabine rightly said that Aristotle calls the ideal state is always Plato's second best. Aristotle's ideal state of Aristotle is Plato's second best. Plato's second best, because he believed that the most ideal cannot be achieved. So he believed that it is better to accept the best practicable form of government rather than aspiring for the best form of government, the ideal form of government. Professor Barker also said that it is curious and suggestive that when Aristotle depicts his idea, he should copy Plato's second best instead of giving so much about his ideal state. At the same time, Aristotle is not an absolutist like Plato. Aristotle focuses on rule, or the rule of law, rather than rule of any individual that was propagated by Plato in the name of philosopher king. He believed that the best practical form of government or the best form of government depends upon the community, depends upon the state, depends upon the society. For example, if a community has a single outstanding person with predominant virtue, the monarch shall be an ideal government. What he believed? Monarch is applicable. Monarchical form of government is applicable only when the community has a single and outstanding person. That person was virtuous. That person has reason. Then the monarch is applicable if there is only one virtuous leader. But if it possesses a few instead of one man of virtuous aristocracy is best suited government here. He said that if there is a group of virtuous people, not a single person, there is a group of virtuous people, then aristocracy will be the best form of government for them. Aristocracy will be the best suited government here. But if there is a multitude of people possessing the ability to rule, the best form is the polity. Hence, Aristotle liked to take into account the special nature of the people before prescribing an ideal state for them. He believed that if one person is virtuous, then monarch will be best form of government. If a group of people, they consist, a group of people has virtue, has knowledge, reason, then aristocracy will be best form of government. And if a large group of people or many people, multitude of people, they possess the ability to rule, they have reason, knowledge, then the best form of government will be polity. What are the key characteristics? The first feature of it should be based on virtue and education. The citizens must be educated. Citizens must be educated. For what? To achieve moral excellency. Moral excellence. To achieve virtue. The second feature, moderate population. Moderate population. A balance between size and efficiency. Small enough for effective participation, which is size, small enough for effective participation, but large enough for self-sufficiency. So, the combination of size and efficiency is very important, very crucial for Aristotle's ideal state. And he fixed it should be 10,000. The population, a moderate and ideal population for an ideal state is 10,000. Another important features of Aristotle's ideal state, that it should be dominated by middle class. The middle class should be the largest, as it balances the extremes of wealth and poverty. It is believed that the middle class provides the best ruler. Those who are rich, those who are wealthy, they cannot be trusted by the lower class, by the lower strata. And those who are poor, those who suffer from poverty, they are not capable, they are incapable of rule. So the best rule comes from the middle class. And the middle class works as a balance between the wealth and poverty, between the upper class and the lower class, between the rich and poor. It is like a balancing wheel, like a balancing bridge. Another feature of Aristotle's ideal state, it should be ruled by law. He believed in rule of law rather than rule of individual. Unlike Plato's concept of philosopher king, he does not believe in the wisdom of the philosopher king or individual. He always gives emphasis to rule of law. Law should be guide governance, not arbitrary will. And most of the time, rule of law or law became impartial. Law gives some sorts of objectivity. So rule of law is important, and rule of law is another important feature of Aristotle's concept of ideal state. He emphasized education for citizen is very crucial, is very vital in ideal state for the moral and civic training, for moral and civic development, which ultimately leads to the greater participation in the state matters, in the affairs of the state. Aristotle supported private property. Property ownership is allowed by private individual, but it must serve the public good, must serve the common good. His idea, his concept of property comes near to the ideals or concept propagated by Mahatma Gandhi, trusteeship, where property must be owned by individual and utilized for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of public good. The best attainable state is polity. The best practical and stable government is polity. Polity is the most realistic and stable form of government. This was propagated, that was believed by Aristotle. He believed polity, where polity is the most realistic and stable form of government, which is practical, which is achievable, or which can be attainable, which combines the virtue of aristocracy and inclusivity. It combines both the good characters, good natures or virtues of aristocracy with the inclusiveness of democracy. And in polity, the middle class plays a key role as a role of moderation between the rich and poor. A middle class plays a crucial role in stabilizing and moderating politics. It is not ideal, but it is a practical and sustainable, which is suitable for the existing cities and real world conditions. It's not like Plato's ideal state, which cannot be achieved, which cannot be attained, but Aristotle's ideal state, a polity, can be suitable, can be a practical. Plato's ideal state is not applicable in the present scenario, cannot be achieved. It's an utopian idea. But Aristotle's polity, Aristotle's ideal state, polity, which is suitable for the existing conditions, can be practical and sustainable, can provide a real life alternative to democracy. This is all about Aristotle's concept of ideal state. For PDF, find the link below. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.